Rio 2016 Olympian, multiple CrossFit Games champion, helped Australia qualify for a spot in two-woman bobsleigh at Beijing 2022. Tia, teach us everything you know, please. Praise hands. And they tagged Australia Olympic team, Tia Claire, IBSF sliding, and they gave credit. I think it was from the Rogue Invitational, and then an awesome photo of them lining up. I mean, obviously we're biased, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to seriously consider some of the greatest female athletes of all time, where does Tia has to stack up there in that.
Yeah, and
I'm not saying she's the best or whatever, because they're athlete.
No, but I think she should be in the conversation. Like, if you're going to rank the top, like Sports Illustrated does, like top 50. If you're going to rank the top 50, I think she's got to be someplace in there.
Yeah, and I would say top 10. If you're the undeniable GOAT of your sport, and I do think that the general public at large does not understand what it takes to be a CrossFit
I would agree
Games
with that.
athlete.
And I think that often hurts CrossFit Games athletes when it comes to ranking them as what was it the year that CrossFit did Sports Illustrated, like the 50 fittest athletes or whatever it was, and
they put Cristiano Ronaldo first.
And Rich Froning wasn't even, where was he? Was he even in there?
Yeah, I think one year and in more recent years they've had Tia and Matt in the top 5. But I'm like, you're putting, I guarantee you that Cristiano Ronaldo probably can't back squat his body weight. He probably can't, do half of the fitness related skills. And also, and
that also goes, I think, to what people would define as fit. Like, if you ask what is fitness to most people, you're not going to get the CrossFit definition of it. You're going to get a much different, and the perception of it too. I think they tend to look at athletes who run around a lot.
Yeah.
Soccer players run around a lot. That is their endurance is their definition of fitness.
They typically apply a very subjective definition of fitness based around someone's specific skill in their sport, which isn't fitness. Again,
right.
It's subjective fitness. But I think Tia being the GOAT of her sport, and then also being able to take that fitness, I also think it lends credence to what the fitness that CrossFit builds and CrossFit's own definition of fitness, right?
Yeah.
That she was able to turn around and apply this fitness readily and ably in 2 avenues that put her at the Olympics. And she won the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, and so I actually looked this up because I was just curious as to how many times someone has competed in the Summer and Winter Games, and it's actually happened quite a bit. And bobsled is the one sport that is the most that commonly shows up on the list of Winter Olympic sports.
Yeah.
So, I was looking at who's done both, and has anyone ever done weightlifting and bobsled? And I'm on Wikipedia, and you can go look at this. And there's quite a few people, but only one person has ever done weightlifting and bobsled. No woman has ever done it. So It was a guy by the name of Martin Tisovic out of Slovakia. He's a 3-time Summer Olympic competitor in weightlifting, 96, 2004, and 2012. And then he was on their bobsled team in 2010. Now, he is the only person to ever do weightlifting and bobsled. So that means that Tia, by this list, is the only female athlete who's ever competed in weightlifting as an Olympian and bobsled.
And I would be curious, genuinely curious, to see how many people have been able to do it in what I would call the modern era of the games.
Yeah.
From pretty much the 90s on. Because, you have to remember that from before that, in what I would consider a pre-modern era of the games, there wasn't the wide participatory levels that we have now. There wasn't the opportunities for, granted they did have lower Olympic standards. That's how Eddie the Eagle happened. But you also had countries that weren't recognized or didn't have the means to participate. There wasn't the programs that supported Olympic athletes to help them get to the games from developing countries now. I mean, you look at the list of countries in the Olympic Games from year to year, and it absolutely dwarfs some of what you saw in, the 70s, 80s, the 60s, so I'd be genuinely curious from maybe 1990 on, and there still could be a handful of, Lolo Jones, I believe, did it in track and bobsled, I think. Because there's a carryover in sprint speed and high power output into bobsled. But I'd be genuinely curious how many people were able to do that while also maintaining a third sport that they're
and that's
undoubtedly
the
the
key.
best at.
So just by my count right now, going by what you said, it's about 63 people.
Yeah.
Since 1992.
Okay.
So 63 people have done it. But when you go back from there, like the majority, well, I guess it's about
How are they like track and field and bobsleigh?
Yeah, a lot of it's like, it's like, athletics, bobsled, cycling, biathlon, skiing, cross-country skiing, cycling, short track speed skating, athletics, bobsled, athletics, bobsled, cycling, cross-country skiing. Haley Wickenheiser, actually, who's probably the greatest female Canadian hockey player ever, was a softball Olympian in 2000 for Canada, and then was a 6-time Olympic ice hockey participant.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so
that's incredibly impressive.
And she is, one of the greatest female Canadian athletes of all time.
Yeah.
But, so that I just wanted to give a little historical perspective because I didn't realize this many people had done it. But when you consider the fact that, like weightlifting and bobsled is not something that you commonly see the crossover in. More power to Tia for pulling that off.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so congratulations to her, and we hope that we see her competing. And I hope that Australia, come on, do the smart thing. I want to see a rogue sled going down the track. And
That'd be sick.
that'd be awesome. Okay, next thing we wanted to address, and we're just going to address this really quickly. So an article in the Morning Chalk Up came out, I believe it was today, friend of the show, Morning Chalk Up, I want to read